Sheldon, how are you, sir?
Doing well, Grant. Yourself?
Very good, very good. Thanks for joining me for this Zoom interview. For everybody watching, this is Sheldon Wheeler, President and CEO of Dana Properties in El Paso, Texas. One of the, if not the largest management company in the El Paso region now. Congratulations on that.
Well, thanks, Grant.
Yeah, so I really appreciate you taking the time to kind of run through some of these questions with me. We just wanted to get your feedback on the service and your experience using it. You've been using it now since 2017, a little bit, maybe even right before 2017, right? 2016?
I believe we started around November of 2016.
Awesome, awesome. So, well, let's start from the beginning. What were you guys doing before we added Sperlonga credit reporting to the collection process?
I think we did the typical thing that most management companies do, sending out the typical demand letters. When that doesn't work, getting an attorney involved, sending out those demand letters, and then following the regular process of filing liens and lawsuits. Before we signed up with Sperlonga, there was no proactive tool that we had to use to try and reduce the collections.
Right, right. And what were you rewarding any homeowners that paid on time? Did they have any kind of reward or benefit for doing so? The incentive there?
There was no incentive at all for paying on time.
So how did you first hear about us? It's been a while, but I don't know if you were.
I remember seeing an ad in the CAI publication that you all were beginning this service. And I believe that was about 2 years before we finally came on board.
Awesome. And what was it that, when you thought about credit reporting and Sperlonga service, what was it that made you finally decide to use the service? Is it something you've been thinking about or wanting to do? Some people say they've been looking for it for years, but never had access to it.
Yeah. Once I saw the ad and then went to the website and started doing some research, it seemed like, the best technology available to reduce the delinquency rates, and also the fees for the services were extremely reasonable. And so we signed up. We got a lot of our association signed up initially, and we have found that, not only have we reduced our delinquencies by around 30%, but we've also reduced the amount of money that we're spending on mailing out demand letters, time we have to spend with the attorney and going to court. It's just been a tremendous service and a wonderful tool for us to use.
Can you tell the folks at home a little bit about how you use this to differentiate yourself and grow the business?
Well, we're the only ones in El Paso that have the software that's compatible with Sperlonga. So now when we go out and we interview for a potential new client, we're the only ones that can sell the service that we can report to credit bureaus, and we tell them what the cost is going to be, and they're amazed at how low we can provide that service to them. And they're also happy that, especially for some of the lower dollar properties, that it's going to help their residents build a positive credit report.
That's awesome. And you're now the largest management company in El Paso, correct?
Correct. We have probably our next closest competitor is probably about 1/8 our size.
That's awesome. So very, very, very full field when you first started, and now now you are the king of El Paso. I love it.
Yeah. Well, you all have helped us get there as well.
No, we're happy to do it, and happy to hear all the great reports that come back.
Most of our communities did sign up for the service. I'd say about 90% of them signed up. And out of those 90, I haven't looked at the statistics for each individual one, but when a board asks me after we've used your service for a year or 2 years, what the effect has been, and I run the reports, it's almost consistently that we have reduced their delinquencies by 30%. And that's without us taking any other action. No demand letters from our office, no attorney demands. It's been great. And we've had some residents that didn't really believe that we had the technology available to report to the credit bureaus. We had FBI agent and Army officers that called us that they had their security clearances pulled because they were not responsible in paying their bills on time, and they wound up sitting behind desks until they were able to clear up their debts.
So I mean, those are great examples, and a lot of people think, wow, maybe that's that's hardcore, but as soon as they pay the monies they owe to the community, right? Their credit score goes right back to essentially normal, right? They have every single month to pay on time.
You would expect FBI agents and Army officers and doctors to pay their bills on time.
Right.
If they hadn't been paying their car payment or their mortgage or their credit cards, it would have been the same result. So this just helps elevate their homeowner assessments to the level of responsibility that it should be.
Right. And are those people all signed up on ACH now and making regular payments?
I did look at a report about 60 days ago to see how much our ACH has increased over the last 2 years. And it's probably increased by about 25%. So that's an additional savings to our associations. We have about 7,000 units that we're managing. So when you add 25% more that we're not having to spend printing and postage on monthly statements, that almost pays for your service itself.
Right. So that's just, I mean, I love hearing that kind of feedback. And I mean, you're exactly right. I mean, that's the whole goal of the service, right? It fundamentally changes the priority of the assessment. I'm going to pay whenever I take it, and they can go for a year, right? And then they pay at the end of the year, they pay the little bit of fees or whatever, and the association gets made whole. But the association's been in a bind now for that entire year, right? So I mean, it really forces people to live up to their obligations. So
it's been a tremendous service, and I would recommend it to everybody across the nation to that manage homeowner associations, except for the ones in El Paso. I would recommend it to everyone else except my competitors that this is a tremendous service. It reduces the workload on all your association managers in terms of having to send out demand letters or whatever your process is. I mean, when you reduce 30% of your workload just on demand letters, and you figure you're sending out 25% less statements every month, then it frees you up to actually go out there and manage an association, to do your inspections, work with your board. It's just tremendous amount of time saving.
That is awesome. Well, I don't want to take up a lot of your time, Sheldon. I know you're busy out there running all of El Paso.
Well, thanks, Grant. I appreciate it, and thanks so much for everything you and your team does.
Thank you.